Jacksonville Beach.
Mike Dempsey. If you're thinking about a bathroom upgrade, maybe turning that old tub into a safer walk-in shower, check out 5 Star Bath Solutions. I shopped around, talked to several companies, and I chose 5 Star because their customer service was simply incredible. Responsive, honest, upfront about the entire project, and their pricing was even better than expected. When you're ready for a fresh look, better comfort, and a bathroom space you'll love using every day, schedule your free consultation at 5starbathsolutions.com and get the 5-star experience.
Bud Light and everyone at Anheuser-Busch want to remind you to get home safely every time. People are counting on you, on the road and at home. Plan ahead with safe rides, and don't forget to hydrate between beers. Bud Light encourages everyone to enjoy responsibly and socialize safely.
Hey, Hicken here, and you know I'm going to talk about skin. Yeah, it's hot outside, folks. The oven is on, temps are in the 90s, and it's only getting hotter. I love the summer, but my skin doesn't. I do my best with dry fit shirts, big floppy hats, plenty of water. My secret weapon, though, the sunscreen. I use it regularly. Maybe you should as well. Look, I've also been seeing docs at Peaches Dermatology for years, and my skin thanks me for it. I'm telling you, it could save your life. Book your appointment today at peachesdermatology.com.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey for DraftKings, which is live in all 50 states, and yes, that means you, Florida. The Cup is down to its final match. It's one trophy, one champion. DraftKings has you covered for every single one. The DraftKings app is now live in Florida, so whether you're catching the early kickoff before work or the late match at the bar, you're in on every minute, every match, every moment, all in one app. Right here in Florida, the world's biggest stage is in the palm of your hand. New DraftKings customers sign up with code 1010XL, spend $5 to get $200 in total rewards over 21 days. That's code 1010XL in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. Event trading offered by DraftKings Predictions, a CFTC registered introducing broker. Trading involves risk of loss. Market availability varies. Eligibility restrictions apply. $50 every 7 days via click to claim. Issued in non-withdrawable predictions dollars that expire in 1 year. Ends July 19th. Terms dkng.co/predictions promo.
I'm Jared Justice with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist. Local sports update brought to you by Awaken 180. Jaguars 2026 training camp ticket registration opens tomorrow. Go to jaguars.com/training camp for more information. The Florida Gators have announced they'll be opening training camp on August 5th. Tom Herman is expected to join the Florida State coaching staff. Magic play-by-play voice David Steele has retired after 37 seasons. Come join XL Primetime for a live broadcast tomorrow in front of 1010XL Studios. Drop off diapers for JJ and you'll get free wings from Wingstop. Tickets for the Jags home games here in Jacksonville are available on their website. It's 85 degrees at 6 o'clock time and temp, brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Tuesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark. In for Rick Ballou this week on 1010XL and 92.5 FM with Jared Justice, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. Jared, I got a frog in the throat to start the 6 o'clock hour. Are you kidding me? Everything's been fine. Everything's been wonderful all day. The mic hits, and bam, a frog in the throat. Excuse me for 1 second. Do some fill, Jared.
Well, this is Jared.
There you go. That's wonderful. That's all I needed. Got the cough out, and now hopefully we're good to go. Again, glad to be with you on a Tuesday here on Hacker After Dark. A Tuesday that finds what I think is probably considered to be a pretty decent upset in the World Cup. Earlier today with Spain knocking off France. And not only knocking off France, but pretty much dominating France. To me, to the untrained eye, right? The guy that watches international soccer, you know, a few weeks out of the year, I thought France looked like the best team in this World Cup. Boy, not today. Spain, 2-0. It probably could have been worse, to be honest. Spain, the defending European champion. They did beat France in the Euros 2 years ago. They are now in the World Cup final. Coming up this Sunday, they will take on the winner of tomorrow's game between Argentina and England. And it's interesting what the World Cup does. They still have the consolation game. They might be the only sport that still has the third place game. So now France doesn't get to go home. They have to wait here in the United States of America to play on Saturday in Miami, and it's going to be about 1,000 degrees down there to play the loser of England and Argentina in the third place game. So there you go. France plays Saturday in the consolation game. Spain has one of the coveted spots in the championship game. Again, they will get the winner of the highly anticipated Argentina-England match, which takes place tomorrow afternoon in, I believe, Atlanta, a closed stadium, an air-conditioned stadium, which will probably help Argentina and Messi a little bit. So we'll talk about that. But obviously, a lot of tonight's program is going to be in the world of football, both college and the National Football League. In fact, ACC kickoff, or ACC Media Days, begins up in Charlotte, North Carolina, coming up on tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. We'll spend some time on Florida State, Miami, kind of the outlook of the ACC moving into 2026. The Southeastern Conference will have their media days down in Tampa next week. Interesting location in Tampa, but remember that Florida, Georgia is going to be played in Tampa in 2027. It's in Atlanta this year. It's in Tampa next year. So Tampa kind of laying the framework to be more involved with the Southeastern Conference as they host media days beginning next week. So some college football on the docket tonight, but a lot on the National Football League. The Jaguars, the veterans, report 2 weeks from today. They are on the field 2 weeks from tomorrow for the first practice of the 2026 training camp down at the Miller Electric Center. I'll talk Jaguars. I'll talk AFC South. I want to talk about the division rankings. NFL.com earlier today did their division rankings 1 to 8. I thought it was interesting where the AFC South was. Now, remember, it wasn't that long ago that the AFC South was maybe considered to be the worst division in football. It was certainly in the conversation. I think that it has improved. NFL.com thinks it has improved. The question is, how much has it improved? We'll go over some division rankings, what NFL.com had to say. I'll give you my thoughts on those. Would love to hear yours as well on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures at 904-641-1010, 904-641-1010. And also, with the division talk, with the AFC South talk, it's the middle portion of July, right? We're still, I think the first training camps get underway in about 10 days because the NFL Hall of Fame game is 3 weeks from Thursday, if you can believe that, between Carolina and Arizona. And you have to be in camp at least 14 days before your first preseason game, which means Arizona and Carolina will be reporting to training camp at some point next week. So we're on the doorstep, but we're still in the middle portion of July. We're still 2 months away from the regular season getting underway. And I'm already getting tired of the Houston Texans. The Texan love, the Texan just gratitude that the national media is showing to C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins and DeMeco Ryans. And I get it. Their defense is great on paper. Now, last year it was great on the field. On paper this year, it looks like it's going to be great again. I'll give them that. But I just don't get this love affair with the Houston Texans. We're going to play a clip from the Dan Patrick show from earlier where Jeremy Fowler, which I think Jeremy Fowler does a terrific job. I've had him on my show. I think he's very good. But my gracious, just talking about Houston this and Houston that, and the Super Bowl run might be incoming, and just nauseating. And that's where I want to begin. Because every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night. And the aforementioned Jared Justice. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
Jared, I do thank you for hopping in there for 2 seconds in the opening segment. It was like Monty in Major League Baseball. You did a terrific job, and thank you very much.
I would not call it terrific because I basically just opened my mic and went, "Hey, it's Jared.
Hey, that's
Hacker's
all I
back."
needed. That's all I needed. You're the man. Thank you. The frog appears to be gone. At least let's hope so. All right. The Houston Texans, the Indianapolis Colts, the Tennessee Titans, and, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They make up the AFC South. You know, prior to 2002, the Jaguars were in the AFC Central. And, man, did we have some great rivals in the AFC Central. Do you remember those days with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals, the Cleveland Browns, and the Houston Oilers / Tennessee Titans? Just some great rivalries. Every team that I mentioned in the AFC Central, boy, if you go down memory lane, some of the battles the Jaguars had. I mean, you think about Pittsburgh, the first home win ever in Jaguar history, right? That came against the Steelers in 1995. They followed that up by beating Pittsburgh on opening day in 1996 with Willie Jackson doing his thing. Man, that was awesome. You think back to Cleveland. Boy, what weird stuff happened against Cleveland, right? Orlando Zeus Brown gets the flag right in the eye and then pushes down the ref. You got beer bottle gate with those dog pound members up in Cleveland that were irate over a call that went the Jaguars' way, and they start pelting people with beer bottles. Just unbelievable stuff happened against the Browns. Crazy stuff. You think about those battles with Baltimore, the Ray Lewis, Michael McCrary, Peter Boulware, Jamie Sharper, Raven defense that Jacksonville had to face twice a year. What Jimmy Smith went for over 200 on that defense in the late 90s and early 2000s. Even Cincinnati, right? Cincinnati, there are some memories. I remember Peter Warwick, who was not good in the NFL. Great in college, was not good in the NFL. His best game ever in the National Football League happened to come against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I also remember our guy Tony Baselli racing down Artrell Hawkins, a defensive back who I believe had scooped up a fumble and was running down the sideline. And there's future Hall of Famer, 320-pound Tony Baselli, that actually caught him and tackled him before the goal line. And then, of course, the memories against the Titans / Oilers. The battles with Steve McNair and Eddie George, Frank Wycheck and Blaine Bishop, Javon Curse. I mean, it was great. That AFC Central was great. And then 2002 happened, and expansion happened. In the Central, they wanted to keep Cincinnati, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore together because obviously they had a lot more history with each other than they had with Jacksonville and Tennessee. So they go form the AFC North. Jacksonville and Tennessee get put in the AFC South alongside the newly formed Houston Texans. And for some reason, they lumped Indianapolis in, which I've never really figured that because Indianapolis really isn't in the AFC South, but whatever, they're in it for the last quarter century. So that's the new division, and that's the division we've learned to live with for 24 years. And I'll be honest, for a long time, I just didn't get the rivalry aspect of it. We still had our thing with the Titans, but the Colts was what it was. The Texans was what it was. It, to me, didn't have the spirit of those games against Pittsburgh or Baltimore or Cleveland back in the day. Boy, I tell you, man, it took long enough. I mean, we're 24, 25 years into this division. But I'm starting to kind of get that sense that the AFC South is starting to get its own moniker. It's starting to get its own swag. It's starting to get its own bravado as far as these rivalries finally taking shape. Obviously, there's still the hatred for Tennessee that goes back a long way with most Jaguar fans to the absolute heartbreak they caused you in January of 2000 when they beat you for not once, not twice, but the third time to knock you out of the playoffs in the AFC title game. Indianapolis, boy, they hate us. I don't know if we hate them, but I can tell you the Colts hate us because they haven't won in Duval County in over a dozen years. 2014, Blake Bortles' first real action as the Jaguar quarterback in relief duty in the second half. That was the game, the last time the Colts won here, September of 2014. By the time Indy comes here this year, it will be over 12 years. That's unbelievable. So again, I don't know if we have the rivalry with the Colts, but I can tell you, talking to people in Indy, they are not fans of the Jacksonville Jaguars. They call it the Duval curse, and with good reason. Because when you haven't won at a place in 12 years, that tends to resonate with their fan base. But as I told you guys last year, and obviously it's more prevalent now after what happened this past season and what I believe is going to happen in 2026, you can hate the Titans still. I don't blame you. But they're not your biggest rival anymore, and it's not even close. You got memories with them. You got history with them. But they're not your biggest rival. No. Your biggest rival is the Houston Texans. And it will be the Houston Texans for the foreseeable future. There needs to be more bitterness in the Jaguar fan base towards Houston than there is Tennessee. Houston is the team that you're going to be competing with for the next couple of years. You saw it last year. You're going to see it this year. And I believe you're going to see it for the foreseeable future. To me, it's going to be Houston or Jacksonville, Jacksonville or Houston. Tennessee just went out and signed 20 free agents. Will it work? Maybe. Who knows? But it ain't going to work this year. Indianapolis probably is going to have a new head coach and a new GM in 2027. Houston and Jacksonville, Jacksonville and Houston. That's why I hate the fact that game is being moved to London. I think that's ridiculous the NFL did that. Move the Indy game to London. Move the Tennessee game to London. That Houston game should be here in Jacksonville because that is an enormous game for both the Jaguars and the Texans. And the fact that it's over in London, I am not a fan of the NFL doing that. But we've had that show. But I'll continue to gripe about it for a while. But the Texan love that I've already heard in the middle portion of July coming into 2026 is unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Now, again, the Texan defense is very good. Will Anderson might be the defensive player of the year when all's said and done. Between he and Danielle Hunter and our good friend Azeez Al-Shire and Stingley, I mean, they got a good defense. There's no denying that. But C.J. Stroud was awful at the end of last year. Just awful. Even the playoff win against Pittsburgh, he wasn't any good. And then he threw 4 picks. 4 in the first half of that loss to New England in the divisional round. To the Texans' credit, their defense kept them in the game. But they lost that game because of C.J. Stroud. Can you imagine if Trevor Lawrence would have thrown 4 picks in that playoff loss to Buffalo? What the talk nationally would be about Trevor Lawrence? And yet, for some reason, C.J. Stroud has seemingly got a pass on that. I would take Trevor over C.J. Stroud every day of the week. Every day of the week that ends in the letter Y, give me Trevor Lawrence over C.J. Stroud. I think the Jaguars have much better wide receivers. I think the Jaguars have a better offensive line. I think the Jaguars have a better tight end. And personally, David Montgomery, all right. How old is David Montgomery now? 29, 30, 31? He ain't 25 anymore. We'll see how David Montgomery does. He wanted out of Detroit because he wasn't being given the ball. Jahmyr Gibbs had overtaken him, right? So he wants a chance to get the ball. All right, we go to Houston. Now, Nico Collins is great. But outside of him, that Texan offense doesn't scare me at all. So for the life of me, I don't understand the amount of love that the Texans are getting. Overwhelmingly, in talking to these national analysts, when I ask them who they think is going to win the South, it's Houston, Houston, Houston. 8, 9 times out of 10. And maybe I have my Jaguar teal and black blinders on here. Maybe I'm drinking the Jaguar Kool-Aid. But I just think Jacksonville is a better team than Houston. I would take the Jaguar special teams. I would take the offense. I would take the Texan defense. But when you bottle it all up, everybody talking about Houston Super Bowl this and Houston Super Bowl that, and C.J. Stroud's going to go back to his rookie form and be awesome. I don't know what they're seeing. Maybe they're trying to wish it into existence. I don't know. And by the way, that great Texan defense, I will say, Jacksonville put 29 on them in their home stadium before that fourth quarter last year. And the fourth quarter went to heck. We all remember that. Worst fourth quarter in maybe the history of the Jaguar franchise. But 29 points on that vaunted Texan defense in the first three quarters for Jacksonville. So they're obviously not afraid of the Texan defense. Texans are your biggest rival, and it's not close, and it shouldn't be close because you're going to be competing with them for a while. Again, Indy, I think the arrow's going down. I hated their offseason. Tennessee, I think, will be better, but that's relative because they only won 3 games last year. Jaguars, Texans, Texans, Jaguars. Enjoy the memories of those games against Tennessee. Enjoy the history of the Tennessee-Jacksonville rivalry. But for the here and now, your biggest rival needs to be Houston. Because in my opinion, it's not close. And also, in my opinion, it's not close who I think is going to win this division. Now, injuries happen, things happen, but you're asking me right now, I would gladly take the Jaguars to repeat as AFC South champions. Look at Houston's opening 2 games, by the way. They're both at home. They start out of the gate, Buffalo, Cincinnati. They see Josh Allen and Joe Burrow in weeks 1 and 2. And then, for what it's worth, they go to Indy in week 3. It's not an easy start to the Texans season. Let's talk Jaguars. Let's talk Texans. Let's talk the rest of the AFC South with JP Acosta of CBSSports.com. Love having JP on. Always enjoy the conversation. I'll ask him, as a national guy, Jaguars, Texans, who does he like? And we'll do that next on a Tuesday night here in Northeast Florida. We're glad you're with us, Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark, Before Dark. And for Rick Ballou here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
This is Greg Huntington, one of the original Jaguars, a.k.a. the Mango.
And the Jaguars are going to the playoffs!
On 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
After attending a Saturday Bumps and Bruises clinic by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, my son's hip and shoulder issues were diagnosed quickly, and he's back playing. As a busy family, we really appreciate their prompt attention.
I've been having knee problems for probably 6 months, and I had heard about Southeast Orthopedics on the radio, and I gave them a call. They got me right in. Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. It was painless, and it's been doing fantastic.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
It's the start of football season for the Atlantic Coast Conference.
That's awesome.
1010XL takes you to the ACC kickoff in Charlotte as we get you closer to the coaches and players. Tuned up by the Plumbers and Pipefitters Local Union 234.
Looking for ways to save on your JEA bill? We're on it. When it comes to your utilities, the less you use, the more you can save. That's why JEA offers ways to help you manage your usage and avoid higher than expected bills. Use our online tools to monitor your usage throughout the month. Schedule a free irrigation or energy efficiency assessment and get personalized tips to save. And with JEA rebates, you can save when upgrading to more efficient equipment. Find more ways to save at JEA.com.
When
you're craving scratch-made food, 29-degree draft beer, and the best seat in the house for every game, there's only one place to go, Twin Peaks. Eatsy here, and from juicy burgers and smoked in-house wings to ice-cold brews served by the friendliest team around, Twin Peaks is the ultimate sports lodge. Wall-to-wall TVs everywhere. You'll never miss a moment. So grab your crew and head over to Twin Peaks, where the views are impeccable and the food hits every time. And the beer is always colder than your ex's heart. Twin Peaks. Eat, drink, scenic views.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about letting things roll off of your back. So often we can make big deals out of things that are not really big deals. We can allow them to steal the joy of our day. But let me remind you that don't allow anyone or anything to steal the joy of today. Go out today not letting little things steal the big things that God has in store for you.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
In Jacksonville, we love our sports. You might say we flip out over them. Football, baseball, soccer, hockey, basketball, golf, and there's our outdoor game, fishing, surfing, and just chilling. There's so much to do, it will make your head spin. But keep your cap on because Visit Jacksonville has you covered. Check out visitjacksonville.com/locals or download the Visit Jax app and stay on the ball for all the upcoming sports events in Jax. Go local, go sports. Jacksonville, the flip side of Florida.
Credit card interest rates are now over 29%. Most people are only making the minimum payments, so they're getting nowhere. Hey, Prosser here, but here's what many homeowners don't realize. Using the equity in your home, you can easily access hundreds of thousands in cash. With Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan, you can pay off your credit card, your existing HELOC, your car loans, or get money for that home improvement project. One client just got $100,000 approved and saved over $1,500 a month. Here's the best part. With Loan Pronto, you can do it all from your phone. With zero out-of-pocket, no hard credit pull up front, no appraisal, no long drawn-out bank process, and no touching your first mortgage. Rates are at a near 3-year low. Act now. Go to loanpronto.com. See how much you can get in about 60 seconds. Loan Pronto, 2,800 5-star Google reviews. Call 904-999-1508 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, your home for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we are glad you are with us. We are on the doorstep of Jaguar training camp. The Jaguars will kick it off July the 29th. 3 joint practices during training camp as well with the NFC South, right? They'll go to New Orleans, and then they will welcome both Carolina and Tampa here before the regular season kicks off in the month of September. Let's talk Jacksonville. Let's talk AFC South, and let's look around the rest of the AFC with JP Acosta. He is the host of the Pushing the Pile podcast. You also see his terrific work at CBSSports.com, and JP's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. JP, hope your summer's going well, man. How are you?
It's going great. Thank you for having me.
Hey, JP, thank you as always for the time. All right, the Jaguars, your national colleagues have been very critical on Jacksonville. Even our guy Jordan Dejani, and I had Jordan on, let him defend his case, and I like Jordan. But 32 out of 32 is what he ranked Jacksonville this offseason. I saw NFL.com gave the Jaguars an F for the offseason. You cover the league nationally as well as anybody, JP. What's been your thought on the Jaguars offseason to this point?
I certainly wouldn't give them an F or have them as the worst offseason in football, but I do think there are some caveats that have to be understood about what the Jaguars did this offseason. I mean, the first thing is they were pretty much backed up against the cap due to a lot of contracts given out by Trent Baalke in the previous regime, so they really couldn't do much. And what they did do was they rewarded their own because this team was talented. This team is talented. I mean, you give out extensions to Trayvon Walker and Strange. You re-sign Buster Brown, who had a great year. You have all these guys who have proven themselves to be good within the system. And I think that's more important than, trying to hand out big money deals. Of course, losing Travis Etienne is going to be the big name. I think that's going to be the biggest one that people point to as having the Jaguars having a bad offseason, but they drafted his replacements last year in Basil Tootin and LaQuinn Allen Jr. And then if you follow the Rams, where James Gladstone came from, they don't pay linebackers very much. So I understand them not re-signing Devin Lloyd. But I think the most underrated thing about the Jaguars offseason is that they retained their entire brain trust. From Anthony Campanelli to Grant Nadinsky to Liam Cohen, everybody returns. And I think that level of continuity has become so underrated when it comes to successful franchises, successful organizations, because that continuity is so important. So I definitely wouldn't say they're the worst. Of course, they didn't make any of the splash signings, which is going to be the one that attracts all the big grades and the high letter grades, but continuity remains important.
JP, I think it's a terrific point. You mentioned Brenton Strange, Trayvon Walker. They re-signed Jacoby Myers and Cole Van Lannon before the offseason began. They bring Dennis Gardeck back. I really like what the Jaguars did with Buster Brown, as you mentioned as well. Let's talk about Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence coming into year number 2. JP, I've had you on for years. Obviously, Trevor probably played his best football as a professional towards the end of last season. Now year 2 for Liam Cohen and Trevor. What's your expectation for that duo?
My expectation is that this duo grows when it comes to pre- and post-snap recognition. I think Liam Cohen helped Trevor Lawrence out a lot, and I also think Trevor improved a lot in terms of pre-snap and getting the offense into the right play. There were a lot of times during the season where, there were moments in games where they're up against the play clock. They're trying to get into the right play, and they're always having to start to play at like with 1 second left on the play clock. I think the process in that case is going to be a lot smoother, a lot more efficient. And I do think for Trevor Lawrence moving forward, continuing to clean up some of the turnovers and some of the erratic play when it comes to turnovers and limiting turnovers is going to be huge for him this upcoming season in year 2. But on top of all that, I want to see this offense create more explosives. It's why Brian Thomas Jr. is having the great offseason, as we've talked about, and as we've seen this offseason. They're looking to create more explosive plays, and I want to see that in year 2 on top of continuing to grow in pre- and post-snap process.
JP Acosta is the host of the Pushing the Pile podcast. You also can check out his work at cbssports.com, and he's kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. You talk about the skill position around Trevor. JP, they don't have a Justin Jefferson or a Jamar Chase, certainly, but what they do have, good grief, with BTJ, Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington. Oh, by the way, they're still going to sprinkle in Travis Hunter to that equation, and then you throw Brenton Strange in there as well. I'm not sure 5 deep if there's a better team in the NFL at wide receiver and tight end than the Jaguars.
I think with the Jaguars and what people are coming to understand is that this is an offense where everybody's going to eat in the passing game. This is I know the Bills kind of used the everybody eats passing offense thing last year, and really it was just to disguise the fact their passing game wasn't that great. But I do think the Jaguars passing offense is truly one where there's so many layers and so many guys can take over a game at any point. I think when you have a guy like Jacoby Myers who does all the dirty work, some of the toughness over the middle, is what they really needed. And I think that allows for everybody else to be specialists in their own roles. Brian Thomas Jr. is their most talented receiver, arguably, and he's going to be the guy that helps to add not only the verticality, but his threat of speed opens up everything else for Myers and Parker Washington, who is their third down separator, who is their guy against man coverage. And then you add on Brenton Strange, who is incredibly tough, physical after the catch. And I think you have an offense, like you said, with layers, with multiple things that they can do and multiple ways to attack defenses. They're trying to become an offense that has an answer to every problem. I'd even include the running backs in that equation with the passing game, with Basil Tootin, Chris Rodriguez. I'd also add LaQuinn Allen, who is a great pass protector. So I think think with all that being said, this passing game is one where everybody's going to have a starring role, and it just depends on how defenses choose to attack them to decide which guy is going to be the one that goes off.
Yeah, I agree. In reality, it's a great problem to have. Fantasy football players won't like it because you don't know which Jaguar receiver is going to have the great game any given Sunday. To the running backs real quick, and you alluded to it earlier, JP, Travis Etienne. That's still getting weird for me to say with him being ETN for the last 5 years. But Travis Etienne is now in New Orleans. They got to replace 1,400 yards and 13 touchdowns. How do you feel about Rodriguez, Tootin, and LaQuint Allen Jr. in the Jaguar backfield?
I think that's the biggest question for me in this offense because the running game still needs to improve in short yardage situations, in gotta have it situations. I think this is truly going to be a unit where it is by committee. I think everybody's going to get their fair share, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bashil Tootin is the one to create most of the explosives. You go out and add a guy like Chris Rodriguez, who is a tough runner, but he is not a guy who's going to hit home runs. He is a singles and doubles hitter as a runner. I think Bashil Tootin is the guy who's going to unlock some explosive capability, but I think it's important for him to not only do that, but to stay healthy and be able to break more tackles. So you have a lot of guys who I think are going to play a role in this run game, and we also have to include Trevor Lawrence in that entire equation because of how he's grown as a runner in this offense. But I think this entire run game is going to be one of the biggest question marks because that was some of their biggest issues last year was the physicality and helping to make sure this offense stays well-rounded.
Final moments, JP Acosta of CBSSports.com. JP, final Jaguar question. I want to branch out to the rest of the division in our time left. Defensively, Anthony Campanile is back. Trayvon Walker with that brand-new contract. I think there's some questions on defense. You know, how will Travis Hunter work in the secondary with Buster Brown, Jarian Jones, Jordan Lewis, etc.? But as a whole, from a mile-high view, how do you feel about this defense heading into training camp?
I think this defense is still going to be really good. Obviously, they're not going to have the same turnover differential as they did last year. Turnovers are very, very volatile year over year. But if we're doing like the sliding scale, if you lose more turnovers, I do think they're going to get better in the secondary because Travis Hunter is playing there primarily. And now you have a defensive back group, a secondary, where you have multiple guys and multiple answers for any problem that they could throw at you. I am curious about the safety rotation, especially with a guy like Caleb Ransaw coming in, but you have a lot of options at multiple spots. So I'm really curious to see how that secondary play irons itself out. I still think the front seven is going to be very good against the run. That's always going to be where they're going to be very good, especially given how they've built this team. But if they can continue to get pass rush, if they can get pass rush from Josh Hines-Allen, from Trayvon Walker, if they can get a third guy, maybe it's Danny Strigow, maybe it's BJ Green, maybe it's Wesley Williams, their rookie they drafted out of Duke this past year. I'm curious on what they're going to do pass rush wise, but I still think this defense is going to be very good. It might just look different than the Texans or the Seahawks.
JP, we'll leave the Texans for a moment here. Let's talk about the other two, Tennessee and Indy. Look, I've said all offseason, I think Tennessee's going to be better, but that's relative because they were horrible last year. In Indianapolis, I don't know how you feel, but I really did not like their offseason. What's your thought on the Titans and the Colts?
So the Colts are building this offseason where they're going all in to go win a Super Bowl, but mainly because they don't have a first-round pick. But I just don't think that team is good enough to get to a Super Bowl. I don't know if Daniel Jones is good enough to get to that point. I don't know if their receiver core, although it does have Tyler Warren, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, who I think are good to very good players, I don't know if that team has enough depth to win the Super Bowl. And I'm really curious about the defense because they've lost a lot of punch. So I'm curious about that entire group. It still feels like they're treading the doom circle of 8-9, 9-8. But I'm curious about what happens there because we've seen Shane Steichen before call plays and do very well with quarterbacks like Daniel Jones, like he did last year. But if Jones is not healthy coming off of that torn Achilles, it might look a little scary. The Titans, I still think, are maybe a couple years away. I think their defensive improvements, they signed everybody that played under Robert Saleh, but I'm curious on what they're going to do offensively. Brian Daboll might be adding more run game to Cam Ward, which I'm curious about, mainly because he wasn't really much of a runner coming out of Miami. But I think that's going to be an interesting facet to add. But I still don't believe in this offensive line. I'm still not a believer in their receiver core. I think it's going to take maybe another year for them to get it going.
JP, as we wrap up, obviously Houston and Jacksonville and Houston, whatever order you want to put them in coming into the year, that's how it appears to be in the South. Look, the Houston defense, I'm not sure if they're the 2000 Ravens. I'm also not sure if they're not. They could be historically good. The question is the offense. I mean, I understand David Montgomery, but I still look at that offense, JP, and outside of Nico Collins, I'm not sure if there's anybody that really scares me on that side of the ball.
I think their offense, especially in their receiving core, is going to have a big year this year. I think they're going to need a big year. Nico Collins is obviously the straw that stirs the drink for them in the passing game, but I do like Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel and what they showed. They showed promise as rookies. Now they have to take on a bigger role because Tank Dell might not be coming back 100% off of that really scary knee injury that he had last year. So I'm curious about what happens with all of that when it comes to that receiving group. But I'm going to focus on the offensive line because this offensive line is built to try and get this team over the hump this year. Because this contracts they were giving out to Wyatt Teller, Braden Smith, they're going to try and win with physicality through this year, through duo, gap scheme. That's really where they started to improve in the run game last year. And adding David Montgomery is going to really help that out. But I wonder if they did enough to help get the offense from worse than the league to at least league average. Because with that defense, if your offense is just league average, you can win a Super Bowl.
JP, as we say goodbye, we'll hopefully have you back on prior to week 1 of the regular season. But as we enter camp, and heck, camps begin around the league in about a week and a half, which is crazy to think about. As we enter camp, how do you have the AFC South 1-4 right now in the mid to late portion of July?
I have the same as how it ended last year, with the Jaguars first, the Texans second, then the Colts and the Titans rounding out third and fourth. I still think the Jaguars are the best team in this division. I think they still have the core that made them the best team in the division last year. Although I do think the margin is closer between them and the Texans just because that Texans defense is still incredible. And then I think there's a gap between those two and then the Colts, and then there's a gap between the Colts and the Titans. So it's really sort of a 3-team race, maybe, depending on how the Colts round out at quarterback. But I think the Jaguars and Texans are going to be the top 2 teams duking it out for the AFC South crown.
JP, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville about the Pushing the Pile podcast. Also, you work with CBS Sports and CBS Sports HQ and where they can find you.
Absolutely. Pushing the Pile is a podcast I co-host. We talk about all the things that you're going to want to see in between the lines during football games. We do a lot of playbooks. We talk about film, draft evaluations. It's really fun. You should go check it out every Wednesday at noon. We're going to be on CBS Sports Network. You can also find me on CBS Sports HQ and CBS Sports Network talking about football. And I also write for CBSSports.com. So make sure to follow me there.
JP Acosta. JP, it's about to get really busy. Thank you as always for the time. We'll do it again soon.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Rick Ballou here. DraftKings is live in all 50 states. Yes, that means you, Florida. The Cup is down to its final matches. 1 trophy, 1 champion. DraftKings has you covered for every single one. The DraftKings app is now live in Florida, so whether you're catching the early kickoff before work or the late match at the bar, you are in on every minute, every match, every moment, all in one app right here in Florida, the world's biggest stage in the palm of your hand. New DraftKings customers sign up with the code 1010XL, spend $5 to get $200 in total rewards over 21 days. That's code 1010XL in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. Event trading offered by DraftKings Predictions, a CFTC registered introducing broker. Trading involves risk of loss. Market availability varies. Eligibility restrictions apply. $50 every 7 days via click to claim, issued in non-withdrawable. Predictions, dollars that expire in 1 year, ends July 19th. Terms, DKNG.co/predictions. Promo.
Streaming live from the XL Digital Studios. Polished by Harbor Dental Care, the locally owned smile restoration experts.
Yeah, I know how awful it is to get injured, but not like my friend Tom who got rear-ended last year. Tom McManus here. Morgan & Morgan can help you. They're the largest personal injury law firm in the nation. 1,000 lawyers, 100 offices across the nation, and over $30 billion recovered. And guess what? They don't get a single penny unless you do. A proven track record with backup. Hard to find these days, but not with Morgan & Morgan. For the people, that's right. Get injured due to someone's neglect, get paid. Dial pound law or check out forthepeople.com.
ET here for Encore Research. And this summer, discover the power of research. Clinical studies are helping researchers find better ways to prevent, diagnose, and treat disease. And community members like you make it all possible. Your participation could help drive the next generation of healthcare discoveries. Find out how you can make a difference at EncoreDocs.com. Research moves forward because of volunteers like you. Let's build a healthier Jacksonville together.
Got a cracked windshield? Not only is it dangerous, but did you know it's also illegal? Call Baker Glass. Mack and his crew use the best auto glass in the market, and they accept most insurance. Plus, all new windshields come with a full warranty. From cars, to trucks, to RVs, you can count on Baker Glass to be fast and friendly. Just check out their Google reviews. Come see us at the shop on Casta Avenue, or we can come to you at your home or business.
I'm back with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Got a dent or a scratch that needs fixing? San Jose Collision in Mandarin offers expert auto body repair and works with all insurance. Family owned and locally trusted. San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Want to stretch that dollar? Taylor Doll here to help save you money with the Money Pages magazine and app. Trying to figure out dinner? Money Pages has deals at your favorite local restaurants. Need auto repairs or an oil change? Money Pages has coupons to help you save. Looking to do some home improvement projects? Money Pages has deals on everything home, from AC repair and plumbing to flooring and painting. Check your mailbox for Money Pages today and download the app for savings on the go.
Northeast Florida's highest-rated residential home electrical contractor is American Electrical, providing unsurpassed quality. Duval, St. Johns, Clay, and Nassau counties. No matter your electrical problem or project, large or small, American Electrical will get it done at a price that's right. High-quality electrician, that's who they are. Trusted company that's been on the First Coast for decades, proudly serving the community while being a big part of the community. Call American Electrical for all your electric needs at 737-7770. Wired right at a fair price.
Need or want cash? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all, selling or pawning. Get cash on the spot at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Little Hacker After Dark, Before Dark this week. In for Rick Ballou on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Thank you to JP Acosta of CBSSports.com for joining us here tonight. That JP Acosta interview is your cornerstone interior solutions interview of the evening. Look, if your air conditioner is working overtime every summer, your insulation, it may be the problem. Homeowners and builders across Northeast Florida are calling my friends at Cornerstone Interior Solutions to upgrade to spray foam insulation. Spray foam seals homes, crawl spaces, garages, and more, locking in cool air and blocking out heat. So your home stays cooler, your system runs easier, and your energy bills, they stay under control. Give my friends at Cornerstone Interior Solutions a phone call, 904-540-4572, or visit their website, cornerstoneinteriorsolutions.com. Again, thank you to JP Acosta of CBSSports.com. I'll tell you this, too, and we're going to do more NFL in the 7 o'clock hour. In fact, our NFC South preview will continue as we're going to go to Tampa, check in on the Buccaneers, now post Mike Evans and Levante David, with my guy Logan Robinson of he does do Noel Game Day as well, but he lives in Tampa and does Bucks Game Day in the National Football League, so bucksgameday.com. Logan Robinson will join us coming up here in the 7 o'clock hour. But I'll tell you this, in regards to the Jaguars and that lack of respect stuff I was talking about last night, the Trevor Lawrence stuff is getting preposterous as well. Now, again, how you have a graphic that has 16 teams on it that ESPN had last week that can win the Super Bowl and the Jaguars were not on there is ridiculous. But yesterday, ESPN.com, talking to former executives, scouts, other NFL personality types, had Trevor Lawrence outside the top 10 in quarterback rankings coming into the year. Again, Trevor Lawrence, for those of you that have forgotten, was in the top 5 of NFL most valuable player voting last year. He also was number 6 among quarterbacks in yardage last year. He was also 6th among quarterbacks in touchdown passes last year. And yet, he's not considered to be a top 10 quarterback. And then again today, I saw some national folks, including Colin Cowherd. They did their list of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. And once again, Trevor Lawrence was not on there. And I don't get it. I don't get it. Again, do I think he's the best quarterback in the league? No. But we did this exercise last week on Hacker After Dark. If you take all 32 starting quarterbacks coming into this season, take all 32, and I'm going to tell you, all right, they're going to be your guy for the next 3 to 5 years. And let's have a draft. You got to keep them for at least 3 years. We'll branch out as much as 5 years. So a 3 to 5 year window, this is going to be your guy. Now, you're going to eliminate some because of age, right? Aaron Rodgers, you're probably going to eliminate. Matt Stafford, you're probably going to eliminate. But by and large, most quarterbacks are still going to be in the league for the next 3 to 5 years. How many of those are you taking over Trevor Lawrence? I'm not talking about what they have done. I don't care what they did in 2023 or 2024, 2025. I'm talking about moving forward, projecting, beginning in 2026 onward for the next 3 to 5 years. I take Josh Allen. Absolutely. Burrow, I think there's a conversation there. I would probably take Burrow, but I think there's a conversation to be had. Is it a surefire that I'm going to take Lamar Jackson over him for the next 3 to 5 years? Lamar's pushing 30. Is his style of play going to work when he's 31, 32, 33 years old? I don't know. Trevor's coming into year 26. He'll be 27 in October. I'm not taking Herbert over Trevor. I'll tell you that. I mean, you look in the AFC, I take Josh Allen. That's 1. I don't take Miami. I don't take the Jets. Do you take Drake May? I wouldn't. But yet Drake May's showing up in these top 10 lists, and Trevor isn't, which, again, I think is preposterous. I would absolutely take Trevor Lawrence over Drake May. I would probably take Burrow. Pittsburgh, no. Cleveland, no. Again, I think there's a conversation about Lamar, but I would probably take Trevor over Lamar for the next 3 to 5 years. AFC South, I don't take Cam Ward over Trevor. I certainly don't take C.J. Stroud over Trevor. And I don't take Daniel Jones over Trevor. And then in the West, Mahomes, that's another interesting one. Again, I'm not talking about what he has done. I'm talking about what he's going to do moving forward. He's coming off a torn ACL, and I believe an MCL was included in that. He's 30, right? He's getting into his early 30s, coming off a serious knee injury. I don't know. I think there's a conversation there. Is Patrick Mahomes, post-knee injury, over the age of 30, going to be the Patrick Mahomes that we've seen the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Remember, Kansas City was 6-8 with a healthy Mahomes last year. People think the Chiefs missed the playoffs because Mahomes got hurt. And maybe they would have gone on a little bit of a run at the end of the year, but he was 6-8 with a healthy Mahomes. Their luster had started to wear off. I don't take Herbert over Trevor. I don't take anything the Raiders have over Trevor. Bo Nix, I take Trevor Lawrence over Bo Nix. So the point is, All these people saying Trevor's outside the top 10 in 2026, I believe he's firmly in the top 10. And I believe if you stretch it out over the next 3 to 5 years, I'm not certain that Trevor wouldn't be a top 5, top 7 type quarterback. Maybe I'm wrong, but I was just really, really taken aback with how good Trevor Lawrence was the last month and a half of the year. They lost to Buffalo, sure. It wasn't Trevor Lawrence's fault. Not one, but 2 touchdown drives in the fourth quarter to give them the lead, including the one with 4 minutes to go. Now, Josh Allen turned into Superman. What are you going to do? But Trevor Lawrence played very well in that playoff game. I had a whole thing I was going to get to, Jared, and I got on the Trevor Lawrence thing. Man, again, I must be drinking the Kool-Aid. And you watch, I'm so over-the-top Jaguar positive guy for like the first time in my life because I love this roster so much. Am I going to be the reason they go 4-13? People are just going to blame me for being an ultra-positive guy. I've been negative in the past, and they've been good, and people complained about me being negative. I really hope the exact opposite doesn't take place this year. We got something to give away, and we will do that in the next 10 minutes. I think you'll like it. And a retirement today. And congratulations to this individual who I've had on many times. Hope to have him on tomorrow. But a retirement today that, although I'm happy for him, does make me a little bit sad. We'll talk about it next on Hacker After Dark.
A hot day, ice cold drinks, and smoking hot sports takes.
I like that, man. I like that.
1010XL, your summertime fun station.
Baloo here for Smunez Vision. Why Smunez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smunez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smunez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smunez is fellowship trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmunezVision.com today. Here you can see.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Awaken 180 weight loss. You know, my son's out of town. He's up visiting family in New England. So I'm recovering a little bit because last week before he left, it was all about hide and seek. It was all about silly string in the driveway, water balloon battles, Nerf gun battles. It's awesome being active now and being able to play with my 7-year-old the way I am. Could I have done that 2 years ago? Probably not, when I was over 300 pounds. But that's what Awaken 180 has given back to me. They've given me back the ability to enjoy life with my son. Losing over 100 pounds thanks to the great folks of Awaken 180 Weight Loss. The coaching you get, the system they have, it works. Go to awaken180weightloss.com. That's awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800 and get your life back with Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Thank you, Jacksonville Magazine readers, for voting Dan the Media Mogul Hicken best sports talk host. Jaguars Today's Mike Dempsey was a close runner-up. And thanks for voting The Drill with Dan and Jeff Prosser best morning show radio team. 1010XL is truly honored.
Fish know where to hide. Captain Kevin knows how to find them.
That's a big one.
Listen for the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show, brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss and Royal Pest Services.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
I'm Matt Lennon with AB Signs. Your truck, trailer, or storefront should be your best salesperson. So I create custom signs and graphics that get your business noticed. Local, fast, and built to last. Call AB Signs and make your brand stand out.
You can actually win a side-by-side at Best Bet St. Augustine.
You know it. Only at Best Bet. The more you play, the more chances you have to win.
Poker, great food and drinks, and a chance to drive home in that side-by-side?
That's what all the buzz is about.
Play your favorite poker and table games at Best Bet St. Augustine for your chance to win an incredible side-by-side. Earn entries now through August 7th. Grand prize giveaway happens August 8th.
Now this just got serious.
Get in the action. Feel the excitement at Best Bet St. Augustine. Details at bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
It feels like every home services company in Jacksonville has been bought out by some big out-of-town firm, but not Superior Plumbing and Pipelining. We're still locally owned, still right here in Northeast Florida. That means no call centers and no corporate runaround when you call Superior Plumbing and Pipelining. Just experienced pros who live here, work here, and stand behind every job. From simple leaks to full pipe relining, you're getting real solutions from a team that actually cares about the community we all live and work in. Make the superior choice when you need a plumber. Request an estimate at superiorplumbingjacks.com.
Credit card interest rates are now over 29%. Most people are only making the minimum payments, so they're getting nowhere. Hey, Prosser here, but here's what many homeowners don't realize. Using the equity in your home, you can easily access hundreds of thousands in cash. With Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan, you can pay off your credit card, your existing HELOC, your car loans, or get money for that home improvement project. One client just got $100,000 approved and saved over $1,500 a month. Here's the best part. With Loan Pronto, you can do it all from your phone. With zero out-of-pocket, no hard credit pull up front, no appraisal, no long drawn-out bank process, and no touching your first mortgage. Rates are at a near 3-year low. Act now. Go to loanpronto.com. See how much you can get in about 60 seconds. Loan Pronto, 2,800 5-star Google reviews. Call 904-999-1508 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Approaching halftime, Hacker After Dark, and for Rick Ballou this week, we'll take you up till 8 o'clock on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Coming up in the next 10 minutes or so, my buddy Mike Huguenin. I call him the college football encyclopedia. Mike has done it for years, and what I love about Mike Huguenin is when he has a thought about something and you ask him something, be ready to hear an honest response. He doesn't sugarcoat a whole lot. So I'm going to ask him about Florida. I'm going to ask him about Florida State, a little Miami talk as well, as we'll do a deep dive into college football with the man that I refer to as the college football encyclopedia, my buddy Mike Huguenin. That is less than 10 minutes away. I do want to talk about a retirement that happened earlier today. Before I get there, we always like to give back to you, the hardworking men and women of Northeast Florida. And here we are at 6:58 Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday, July 14th. And we have a family 4-pack to the Jacksonville Axemen Rugby this Saturday as they take on the Sarasota Bull Sharks at 6:15. Boy, the Axemen, I love the Axemen. I remember back in the day when Spinner was running the Axemen. They're still doing their thing all these years later. That is fun to go to. And if you want a family 4-pack to the Jacksonville Axemen to take on the Sarasota Bull Sharks this Saturday at 6:15, because it's a 4-pack, we'll take caller 4 right now. 904-641-1010, 904-641-1010, and Jared Justice will hook you up with that family 4-pack to go see the Jacksonville Axemen this Saturday. So I mentioned a retirement earlier, and hopefully I'll be able to get him on tomorrow. He was a little busy today. That's what happens after you announce your retirement after 37 years of doing what you've been doing. And that's my friend David Steele. If you did not see this earlier today, David Steele announced his retirement as the television voice of the Orlando Magic. He started when Orlando started in 1989. Prior to that, he was the voice of the Florida Gators. He goes to Orlando. Mick Hubert comes to Gainesville, and the rest is history. But David Steele, who I've had on many, many times, again, I hope to have David on probably tomorrow or Thursday, 37 years as the play-by-play voice on television for the Orlando Magic, calls it a career. What a career it was. You think of anything that has transpired with the Orlando Magic over the last 37 years, from the Nick Anderson steal of Michael Jordan in the playoffs, to the Dwight Howard alley-oop dunk to beat San Antonio at the buzzer, to Tracy McGrady's 61-point performance, and all points in between, David Steele has been on the call, either on the television side or the radio side, of every single moment in Magic history, from Penny Hardaway and Shaq to Dwight Howard to Tracy McGrady to Vince Carter and now to Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. It's been David Steele. So congratulations to him on an unbelievable 37-year run. To me, it's kind of sad, though, right? Because it's like your childhood. I grew up listening to David Steele on what was Sunshine Network, right? And then that turned into Sun Sports. And then that turned into the FanDuel, or I guess it turned into Bally Sports. Remember that? And then it turned into FanDuel Sports Network. I don't even know where the Magic are going to be on TV this year. I got to find that out. If you know, let me know, because that's something that I got to do some investigative research on here. But David Steele calling it a career. And with that, congratulations to another friend of mine in Dante Marchitelli. Dante Marchitelli, who had been filling in for David Steele, had been doing some road games because David had not traveled as much in recent years. Dante was announced as the new television play-by-play voice of the Magic earlier today, as he will join Jeff Turner. So that's awesome. So David Steele, congratulations to you, my friend, on a great run. And Dante Marchitelli, congratulations to you for getting the new gig you have as the television voice of the Orlando Magic. Let's get into the world of college football. Let's talk Gators. Let's talk Seminoles. Let's talk Hurricanes. By the way, ACC kickoff, ACC Media Days begins tomorrow up in Charlotte. Florida State and Miami will be two of the main teams that people are going to want to talk to, particularly the Miami Hurricanes. Let's talk about all of it with my buddy Mike Huguenin. He is the college football encyclopedia, and he joins me next on a Tuesday night here in Jacksonville, Florida. We're with you till 8 o'clock, Jacksonville. We're glad you're with us. It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
Now I want you to listen to me, and listen good, because this is what we're going to do. We're going to run the ball, we're going to pass the ball, we're going right down this field, and we're going to score.
1010XL, Jack Sports Radio.
Overheard at the Hard Rock Bet Party.
Wait, is that Ronaldinho? Ronaldinho, you think Brazil will win it all this summer?
Claro que sí.
Can I just say, you're my favorite player, ever.
Bet all of soccer's biggest matches this summer on Hard Rock Bet. And keep your cool in case you run into Ronaldinho. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and back your country. Roll with us. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE.
It's here, Middleburg. Firehouse Subs is now open at the all-new Clay Town Center. Try the bold new steak and cheese melt, stacked with premium steak, melted cheese, and big flavor in every bite. Firehouse Subs at the Clay Town Center, open now.
Nothing says All-American like a great meal and a great deal. MyGate Rewards members. Grab any roller grill favorite, Lay's brand chips, and an ice-cold Pepsi or Gatorade, all for just $5.50. The All-American meal deal only at Gate. See store for details.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Rick Ballou here with a congratulations for John's Auto. They've been in business in Jacksonville for 40 years. That's right, going all the way back to 1985. Right now, they'd like to thank each and every one of you who's ever gotten their vehicle serviced at John's Auto. So, car, truck, or diesel, all makes, all models, whether it's a routine maintenance or a complete engine overhaul, go to John's Auto on Arlington Road, johnautomotivejacks.com.
Homeowners running out of space in your kitchen, closets bursting at the seams, or maybe your bathroom just feels outdated and cluttered. At Harvest Construction and Remodeling, custom cabinets are what they do best. Owner Scott spent years as the main cabinet installer for one of the region's largest big box retailers. As a family man growing his own business, he brings that experience directly to homeowners like you. They'll create beautiful storage solutions that improve look, feel, and function. Visit harvestrenovations.com.
License number CRC 13311012.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
You may not be able to control the air you breathe on the outside, but you certainly can on the inside of your home. Just call Florida Home AC and ask about the Remy Halo. It's the next generation of air quality technology. Call 777-4300 for Florida Home AC.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, college football's right around the corner. We got ACC Media Days this week. We got SEC Media Days next week. And then, of course, college football begins at the end of next month. Let's talk Florida. Let's talk Florida State. Let's look around the rest of the SEC and the ACC as well with a man that I call the college football encyclopedia. His name is Mike Huguenin. He's covered the game for years, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Mike, hope your offseason went well, man. How are you?
Yeah, doing well. And, yeah, we're only about 4 weeks from college football camps opening. So actually less than that, 3 weeks. So it's going to be here before we know it. But then again, it's been a long time since the last game was played. So I am more than ready for college football to begin.
You know, outside of John Summerall's name not being Lane Kiffin, Mike, I don't know if this offseason could have gone any better. Now, wins and losses are all that matters, and we'll find out soon enough about that. But from the staff he hired to the retainment of players, to the transfer portal, to what he's doing on the recruiting trail, to the general excitement in the Gator fan base, I mean, the last 7 months have got to be considered a home run for Summerall, correct?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think getting rid of Napier, if you're a Florida fan, I think you breathed a sigh of relief when Napier was fired because, okay, finally we're going to get a guy who presumably knows what he's doing, going to bring a new energy to the program. I think Summerall has done that. The retention was incredibly good. I don't really think they lost but 2 or 3 players that they wanted to keep. The recruiting class for 2027 looks quite good. The transfer portal went well, though I think they could have done a little bit better on the offensive line. But I think the biggest takeaway I have is it appears that Florida has the needed money to contend. Summerall has used it well. And again, you know, if you're spending billion on renovating your stadium, money should not be an issue. And I don't think it's going to be. I think at the end of Napier's tenure, there were some people, you know, the return on investment, it sucked. So why do I need to give more money to this guy? And I think Summerall has come in, sort of flipped that script. I think everybody is excited, but as you point out, let's see what happens when they get on the field. But I think there is excitement around the program that hasn't been there for quite a while.
And look, you know, you talk about reading the room. There was a lack of excitement. I mean, USF came into the swamp and won less than a year ago, all right? This is not like the Gators were in a good place when Summerall took over the program. But getting him out there, doing every television station interview in the state of Florida, doing any radio station that wanted him, any podcast that wanted him, unlike their rivals in Tallahassee, where Norvell has been a hermit crab the entire offseason, Summerall has been out there in the public eye. They have gotten him out there, and I think that was a good move by the University of Florida.
Yeah, I think you want to rev up the fan base. Summerall is selling an idea, and new coaches always can come in and, hey, this is what we're going to do now. We got rid of the old guy. You know, that's what Napier did as well. But I would argue that listening to Summerall versus listening to Napier, Summerall seems way more energized. I think he hired a vastly better staff. I think the money people are in alignment with what he wants to do. You know, Napier took over right at the beginning of the NIL era, and I don't think he was prepared. I think Summerall certainly came in prepared. Again, the staff, the general manager aspect, I think everybody's in alignment. We'll see how it works out. But, yeah, I think the fervor around Summerall, I think, is a lot more energetic than it was when Napier first got there. And it's by the end, it's like Florida fans were like, oh my God, football's coming up. Oh no. But I think now it's okay. The new guy's there. He appears to know what he's doing. The money people are spending cash, writing checks. This is going to be fun again. And I think even when Napier first got there, even his first couple games, you could tell this is not going to be a fun regime.
Mike Huguen's covered the world of college football for years. He's with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Mike, when we talk about on the field in Gainesville, the big question, is there a quarterback competition between Aaron Philo and Tramel Jones? Do you believe there is a competition? And if so, who do you think ultimately will be the starting quarterback?
Yeah, I think there's competition. If Sumrall and Buster Faulkner, if they've already decided, they've done a great job of hiding that. Plus, Sumrall in this era, Sumrall, like all first-year coaches, knows if I don't win here pretty soon, I'm going to be looking for a job. So I think they'll pick the quarterback who gives them the best chance. Philo obviously has a working relationship with Faulkner. He was at Tech for 2 years with Faulkner, understands the offense. He's the leading high school passer in Georgia football history. Yes, it was for a small school in the Athens area, but the kid can play. When he played at Tech, those games where he came off the bench when Haynes King was hurt, he showed well. He's got some mobility. I think Tramel Jones has mobility as well. He's got a strong arm. They certainly have one of the best running backs in the SEC, if not the nation, in the backfield with him in Ball. They have a talented wide receiver core, unproven, but still extremely talented. So I think the weapons are there. It's up to the quarterbacks to sort of grasp the job and not make mistakes. That's one thing that Lagway the last couple of years, he had some wow factor to him, but he also had some oh my God factor to him, as in what's the kid doing throwing the ball into triple coverage? How did he overthrow that guy? How did he miss the wide open guy in the flat? I think for sure Faulkner's offense will look a lot different than Napier's, and then will be better than Napier's. Now that's a low bar, obviously, but Faulkner's offense put up big numbers at Georgia Tech. He looks to have vastly better talent at Florida. The quarterback situation is interesting. I think there is a competition. I think the offensive line, though, to me, is the biggest question on that side of the ball.
There are gigantic games in the month of September all throughout the country. Mike, I look at Jordan-Hare Stadium week 3. You got the first-year staff at Auburn with Alex Golesh hosting the first-year staff at Florida with John Sumrall. You want to talk about finding out where you are pretty quick. The Gators are going to go in there 2-0, with all due respect to Florida Atlantic and Campbell. Boy, I think that game at Jordan-Hare at night in September against Auburn is an enormous one for Florida.
Yeah, I think it's 100% agreement. I think that you're right. If they're not 2-0, something has gone horribly wrong in Gainesville. And I think if you lose to Auburn, I think some of the fans are going to be, oh my God, here we go again. So, and Auburn, I don't think is as talented as Florida. They do have a very good defense, and they also have a quarterback, obviously, in Byron Brown, who followed their head coach. So he's well acquainted with what Golesh wants to do offensively. So that's a big matchup for both teams, but I would argue that Florida's going to have, Sumrall's going to have a little bit more pressure on him than Golesh, just because of the sort of the wilderness Florida has been wandering in for. I know they had pockets of success under McElwain, that one season under Muschamp. Mullen had 2 good seasons. But for almost 17 years now, Florida has been sort of wandering around lost. And I think that is a game where if Florida wins that game on the road at Auburn, you're going to have a outpouring of extra support for for Summerall, because I think that, I agree with you. That game is gigantic.
With games later in the year against Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Texas, and Georgia, it is a huge game for Florida. A couple of more for Mike Huguenin. Mike, let's go to the state capitol. Along those same lines, we're going to find out about Florida State pretty quick. 2 of their first 3 are against SMU, and of course that rematch against Alabama. And you know the Crimson Tide will be foaming at the mouth to see Florida State come into Tuscaloosa. Not a lot of optimism among Seminole fans that I know, Mike. What's your thought on the Noles coming into the year?
Yeah, I'm not a believer in Ashton Daniels. Now, yes, he's been on some, he was at Auburn last year. They couldn't block you and I, and we're old guys. One of us older than the other. But I just don't think Ashton Daniels raises your ceiling very much. I think he gives you a certain floor. That's not a good floor. The receiving core looks solid. That is a nice receiving core. Deuce Robinson, Danzig is a burner. The offensive line, totally new. Counting on a lot of transfers. Let's see how that works out. I think the bigger issue defensively is that is an extremely small front 7. The defensive line, the lack of depth is, frankly, to me, alarming. I think the secondary has some potential, but the front 7 or front 6, if they play a 5-man secondary, I just don't think it's very good. Now, the ACC, for the most part, is not good. At the same time, they get SMU early, they get Virginia early, they get Louisville early, they get Miami early, then they get Clemson. So they're playing, as bad as the ACC is, FSU is probably playing 5 of the top 6 or 7 teams in the league. I don't think FSU is one of the top 5 or 6 teams in the league. So I think this is going to be another long year in Tallahassee. I think the quarterback limits them, and the defensive line and defensive front 7 limits them as well. So this is, I think, going to be a tough season.
I mean, buyout be damned at this point. If he doesn't go to a bowl game, he's gone, right?
You would think so. I mean, that is a lot of money to sort of swallow, $50 million. But at some point, I think the sunken cost comes in. Like, okay, yes, this is going to be expensive to get rid of him, but what about keeping him? I mean, does anybody really believe? I think even if you're the most ardent FSU fan, you're looking at that 1 year where they were unbeaten and then snubbed. That's the aberration to me. They were early adapters to the portal. They did a superb job in the portal for about 18 months. And ever since then, I think they've done a mediocre at best job. They don't appear to have the needed amount of money. And I think part of that goes back to, well, we really can't spend money because, my God, we owe this dude $50 million when we fire him. And I think the one thing, if I'm an FSU fan, I'm worried, oh my God, what if we do go 6-6 and 7-5 and get to a bowl? Is this really the guy that's going to lead us back to the top of the ACC? And again, I think that 1 year was an aberration. So my answer to that question would be no. Maybe you're better off sort of biting the bullet, paying the $50 million, sending him into the sunset, and seeing what happens next. I think FSU, they're horrible right now, but that was you blink an eye, they went from being a national title contender to, oh my God, they're not even one of the top 80 teams in the country. So that happened quickly. Rebuilding can happen quickly as well if you get the right guy. So I think that, if they have another mediocre season, 5-5, 5-7, 6-6, or anything less, I think you fire the guy, even if he goes 7-5, because I don't think he's the right guy to get you back to where you want to be.
Final moments with Mike Huguenin. Again, Mike Norvell probably on the hottest seat in America coming into the year. Mike, we got about 2 minutes to go. Let's go quick. The other 2 local teams, Georgia and Miami. It appears Miami needs to win the ACC title for the first time ever. They joined the conference over 2 decades ago. They appear to be the clear favorite coming into the ACC this year. And would you agree that Georgia or Texas are one of the favorites, or 2 of the clear favorites in the SEC coming into the year?
Yeah, I still think there's questions about Sarkisian. There's questions about Arch Manning. Texas, has certainly spent the money. But I think Sarkisian is feeling some of the heat, or else he wouldn't have said some of the things he said this offseason. Georgia, on paper, looks to be, those two look to be the best teams on paper. Georgia's receiving core is a question. Relying on Isaiah Canyon, the transfer from Georgia Tech, to be your go-to receiver. He was Tech's number 3 receiver last year. So not only are you counting him to make a big jump, you're counting on him to play a role he has not played in a league that is much better than the one he left. I think Georgia defensively is going to be fine. I think the running game is going to be good enough. To me, it's all about the passing game, all about Gunnar Stockton. But, on paper, Texas and Georgia are the two best teams. But I still think there's a lot of questions about both those teams. And, again, Texas, I'm still not sold on Sarkisian.
And you think Miami in the ACC, is that where you're leaning?
Oh, my goodness. If Miami doesn't win the ACC this year, I'm not sure they're ever going to win it. Now, they didn't win it last year and still played for the national title. But there is no excuse for Miami not to win it this year. This is the best roster in the ACC. Miami spends a ton of money. They got the quarterback from Duke, Mensah, can play. The running game looks good. The wide receiver looks good. Tony is a stud. The offensive line got some little bit of question marks, but there's talent there. Defensively, that's a well-coached unit. They filled some holes out of the portal. They need a pass rusher or two to step up. But, Miami, that of all the leagues, the ACC looks clear-cut for a winner. The other ones don't. If Miami doesn't win the ACC, I would be shocked.
ACC Media Days this week, SEC Media Days next week, and they will be on the field. Every team around the country beginning fall camp in less than 3 weeks' time. Mike Huguenin. Mike, always appreciate the conversation. Thank you. We'll do it again before the season kicks off.
Rick Ballou here. DraftKings is live in all 50 states. Yes, that means you, Florida. The Cup is down to its final matches. One trophy, one champion. DraftKings has you covered for every single one. The DraftKings app is now live in Florida, so whether you're catching the early kickoff before work or the late match at the bar, you are in on every minute, every match, every moment, all in one app right here in Florida, the world's biggest stage in the palm of your hand. New DraftKings customers sign up with the code 1010XL, spend $5 to get $200 in total rewards over 21 days. That's code 1010XL in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. Event trading offered by DraftKings Predictions, a CFTC registered introducing broker. Trading involves risk of loss. Market availability varies. Eligibility restrictions apply. $50 every 7 days via click to claim, issued in non-withdrawable. Predictions, dollars that expire in 1 year, ends July 19th. Terms, DKNG.co/predictions promo.
This World Cup soccer update is laced up by Valvoline Instant Oil Changes and Houston's Meats.
Westwood One Sports presents this World Soccer Update, sponsored by NHTSA. Speeding catches up with you, paid for by NHTSA. One half of the 2026 World Cup final is set as Spain defeated France 2-0 earlier today in Dallas. The scoring started 22 minutes in with a penalty kick won by Lamine Yamal and scored by Mikel Oyarzabal for his 5th goal of the tournament. And then in the 58th minute, Pedro Porro capped a long possession sequence with a one-on-one finish past goalkeeper Mike Maignan. Spain were efficient, scoring both of their 2 shots on target as France struggled to create big chances and get back into the game. So France will play in the 3rd place match on Saturday. Spain moves on to the final for the 2nd time ever, the first time since 2010. Spain seeking a 2nd World Cup title. They await the winner between England and Argentina. I'm Lucas Panzica, Westwood One Sports.
You know, Adam, covering baseball every single day here in Chicago, growing up going to games and those wild days at the ballpark, you learn real quick that speed is both a gift and a trap.
No doubt, man. In baseball, everything happens in a blink. A runner rounding third at full speed, a 98-mile-an-hour heater coming in on your hands, a chopper that shoots the other way at the last second.
The best players, they know when to throttle it back. They see the whole field, make the smart read, stay in control.
But on the road, we don't get that luxury, Chris. No replay review, no ump yelling time. When you push that speedometer too far, that's when things go wrong in a hurry.
A curve you didn't expect, a car that stopped short, a pedestrian stepping out. Speeding backs you into a corner you can't escape.
And unlike on the field, real life doesn't give you a second chance. No matter how fast your team is flying around the bases, speeding always catches up with you.
So, take a beat, stay in control, and slow down out there.
Because speeding doesn't just change the game, it can end it.
Drive safe, everybody.
We're all counting on you to make the right play and slow it down.
Paid for by NHTSA.
You trusted a medical professional with your care. When that trust is broken, the results can be devastating. Medical error can leave patients and families facing unanswered questions and lifelong challenges. Founded in Jacksonville, Edwards & Ragatz helps you understand and protect your legal rights after medical negligence. No fees unless you recover damages. We're here to help. Call 904-INJURED or visit 904injured.com.
Edwards & Ragatz, offices Jacksonville.
Frank Frangie here with Coach Delaney from Coyle Fencing. For years, your offenses have been putting up a lot of yards and points at Fletcher. I hear Coyle also gains a lot of yards in the fence world.
Yes, Frank. Coyle Fencing has been serving the Jacksonville community and general contractors for 99 years. We fence tens of thousands of commercial and residential yards, all while maintaining an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau.
99 years?
That's right. Some might call it a dynasty.
To schedule your appointment, visit CoyleJacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com.
If you missed it, get it on demand.
And you send those out on the line.
Find your 1010XL favorites where you find podcasts and at 1010XL.com. Channel 5, Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning.
Nobody calls a service company hoping to hear they need thousands of dollars in repairs they weren't expecting. At Duck Rooter, Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning, we keep it simple. Find the problem, explain the solution, provide a fair upfront price. No pressure, no scare tactics, no turning a simple service call into a sales presentation. Just honest recommendations and quality work from a local team that's earned the trust of homeowners across Northeast Florida. Duck Rooter. When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769 or duckduckrooter.com.
SportsForecaster.com has all the data you need to project tomorrow's winners. Register for free and track the performance of all your favorite players and teams, including all your fantasy team picks and prospects. Sports Forecaster has the most detailed player profiles on the web. Precise depth charts, every transaction, every injury, every news update. No ranting or raving, no preening or barstool bluster. At SportsForecaster.com, you get the timely info you need for every game. SportsForecaster.com. Sign up for free today.
What Major League Baseball teams have never won a World Series?
When you file a claim with Southern Oak Insurance, we schedule one of our trusted vendors to work directly with you, which means a faster claim resolution. Find out more at southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours, Southern Oak Insurance.
There are 5 Major League Baseball teams that have never won a World Series: Colorado, Milwaukee, San Diego, Seattle, and Tampa Bay.
Southern Oak Insurance, our family protecting yours.
Hey, this is Tony from Tony D's New York Pizza. You believe I've been making pizza here in Jacksonville for over 20 years? Thanks for the support and good times. We appreciate your business, and we're looking forward to another 20 years. Come out and see us at Tony D's New York Pizza, Bay Meadows and 295.
The mosquitoes are out in full force. Before they ruin another cookout or pool day, call the experts at Royal Pest Services. Their mosquito and outdoor pest treatments target mosquitoes, gnats, and other nuisance bugs so you can enjoy your backyard. Royal Pest Services. Take back your yard.
1010XL, presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's team time, Farah doesn't flinch. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Thank you to Mike Huguenin for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. We mentioned the ACC kickoff kicks off tomorrow up in Charlotte. Well, SEC Media Days next week in Tampa. The Gators announced the 3 guys they are bringing with them. Vernell Brown, Miles Graham, Jaden Baugh will be the 3 Gators in attendance alongside head coach John Summerall. Obviously, a lot of people going down there to see Arch Manning from Texas, Lenore Sellers, South Carolina. I saw the list earlier. All 16 teams get to bring 3 guys, as well as obviously their head coach. But for the Gators, they have announced Vernell Brown, Miles Graham, Jaden Baugh. And those are 3 of the 5 we've talked about the entire offseason that John Summerall was able to keep on the roster. You know, when Billy Napier gets fired, you worry that a lot of these guys would enter the portal. Well, they kept Vernell Brown. They kept Miles Graham. They kept Jaden Baugh. You throw in Jaden Woods in there, you throw in Dallas Wilson in there, and it was a terrific job by Sumrall and that new staff to keep those guys, 3 of which will be representing the University of Florida next week at SEC Media Days. And it's worth noting as well, Major League Baseball All-Star Game is tonight. First pitch about 30 minutes away between the AL and the NL. I thought the Home Run Derby was fun last week. Hopefully we have a little drama in the All-Star Game itself tonight. But again, the only sports you're going to see other than NBA Summer League and maybe a WNBA game or two is the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. It is on Fox, and first pitch coming up here in about 30 minutes or so. Back into the National Football League coming up next. With it till 8 o'clock, Jacksonville. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
I'm Alan Tyre with Trustline Mortgage. My business partners Bill Pappas and Ken Rimley want to thank all the top real estate agents and builders who refer us business every day. Thinking about buying or building a new home? At Trustline Mortgage, we're here to make the mortgage process simple, clear, and stress-free. That's why First Coast residents have trusted us for more than 37 years. Since 1989, Trustline Mortgage has been your local mortgage company dedicated to personal service. Real people, real conversations, and real solutions. Whether you're looking for a conventional, VA, FHA, or construction loan, Trustline Mortgage brings over 4 decades of experience to help you. And did I mention we offer the most competitive jumbo rates in Florida? If you're ready to buy, build, refinance, or simply explore your options, call Trustline Mortgage today at 904-381-LOAN or visit our website at trustlinemortgage.com. Trust your instincts and follow the line to Trustline Mortgage.
Trustline Mortgage, NMLS 331480. Alan Tyre, NMLS 246490. Bill Pappas, NMLS 218443. Ken Remley, NMLS 246445.
The doctors at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists have resolved my hip and foot issues, and I'm back to training for the 2028 Olympics in LA. This is Garrett Scantley, and I highly recommend Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
This is David Garrard. Following my knee surgeries and recovery, I'm continuing to feel great and would recommend Southeast Orthopedic to anyone who's experiencing orthopedic pain.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Mike Dempsey. If you're thinking about a bathroom upgrade, maybe turning that old tub into a safer walk-in shower, check out 5 Star Bath Solutions. I shopped around, talked to several companies, and I chose 5 Star because their customer service was simply incredible. Responsive, honest, upfront about the entire project, and their pricing was even better than expected. When you're ready for a fresh look, better comfort, and a bathroom space you'll love using every day, schedule your free consultation at 5starbathsolutions.com and get the 5-star experience.
This is Victor Patel, CEO of North Florida Medical Center. Have you been in an auto accident? Are you feeling pain or stiffness? Our board-certified team has over 15 years' experience helping patients recover through chiropractic care, physical therapy, pain management, primary care, and neurology. Even minor injuries can cause long-term problems if left untreated. Schedule your free consultation today at nfmcjax.com. North Florida Medical Center, bringing the care back to healthcare.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Prosser here. The FIFA World Cup is entering its biggest matches, and there's no better place to be than Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform. On Kalshi, you can trade every match from the opening stage all the way to the final. I'm looking at Argentina. They could win it all. They won't see France until the final game, and right now trading around 18% to win. That means a $100 trade pays out $514 if they win the cup. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market. That means there's no house, and as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code 1010XL. You'll get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi, Kalshi. Trade the beautiful game. 18 and over only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see Kalshi.com/regulatory.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focus, fueled, fearless, Farah. Now, the Monahan's golden moment. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach, your local family jewelers.
Golden moment? I just am not a big fan of all the Houston Texan love we've seen early in the preseason. Again, it's not even the middle portion of July yet, and it's Texans this, Texans that. I'm over it. I think Jacksonville is going to repeat as division champions, and I don't like the fact that Houston's getting all the national love where Jacksonville's getting very little of it. A team that's not getting a lot of love either is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Our NFC South preview continues now. Logan Robinson of Bucs Game Day as we preview Tampa Bay. That comes up next on a Tuesday night. It's Hacker After Dark.
Rick Ballou here. DraftKings is live in all 50 states. Yes, that means you, Florida. The Cup is down to its final matches. One trophy, one champion. DraftKings has you covered for every single one. The DraftKings app is now live in Florida, so whether you're catching the early kickoff before work or the late match at the bar, you are in on every minute, every match, every moment, all in one app right here in Florida, the world's biggest stage in the palm of your hand. New DraftKings customers sign up with the code 1010XL, spend $5 to get $200 in total rewards over 21 days. That's code 1010XL in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. Event trading offered by DraftKings Predictions, a CFTC registered introducing broker. Trading involves risk of loss. Market availability varies. Eligibility restrictions apply. $50 every 7 days via click to claim, issued in non-withdrawable. Predictions, dollars that expire in 1 year, ends July 19th. Terms, DKNG.co/predictions promo.
I'm local attorney Rick Alexander. In my 30 years practicing law, I've learned you never want to choose money over health. It's always a bad deal. Unfortunately, when someone screws up and you get hurt, that choice is gone. Your only choice is whether you face the future with a lawyer or without one. If you're hurt because somebody screwed up, call me at the practice. The Alexander Law Practice, 904-400-6600, or alexanderlawpractice.com, Jacksonville.
Tommy Mack here for Duval Glass and Mirror. You don't have to remodel your entire home to make a big impression. Sometimes all it takes is a beautiful frameless shower, a custom-cut mirror, or just replacing that fogged, cracked, or outdated glass that's been bothering you for years. Jacksonville homeowners trust Duval Glass and Mirror for expert craftsmanship, honest service, and flawless results. Visit DuvalGlass.com for your free quote today. There's only one name for glass and mirror. It's Duval.
When it comes to orthopedic care, experience matters, and teamwork matters even more. At Orthopedic Specialists of Jacksonville, our fellowship-trained specialists work together to treat a full range of conditions, from knees and shoulders to spine, sports injuries, and joint replacement. You'll be guided by the right specialist for your needs, with coordinated care and personalized treatment plans designed for better outcomes. Smarter care, faster access, trusted expertise. Orthopedic Specialists of Jacksonville.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal, what's the matter? I came right over.
It's my water, Jason. Smell this.
Yeesh.
That came out of my tab, Jason. I'm worried there's a lot more in there than just H and 2 and O.
Well, yeah. In Jacksonville, we have some of the hardest water in Florida. There's calcium carbonate in there and magnesium sulfate and...
I'm sorry, calcium... what now?
It's the same stuff that makes those cool stalactites in caves.
Well, it's making my shower all powdery, my tabs all crusty, and caves make me claustrophobic.
Put on these sunglasses. Whoa. Call Bueller Air & Plumbing. And our water treatment experts will do a free water quality test. We'll check for minerals, bacteria, anything that might make your water smelly or damage your plumbing or appliances.
And if it's bad, you can fix it?
Your glasses will come out cleaner, your shampoo will lather better.
I like a good lather, Jason.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
When you're vacationing in your RV, there are some things you can always count on. Taking the kayaks out on the lake, hot dogs on the grill, and your sister's boyfriend pulling out his acoustic guitar.
Everyone quiet! Harrison's playing. Wow, you're so good, Harrison.
With Progressive, your RV is protected 24/7, so you're prepared for whatever you don't see coming. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in D.C.
Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, your home for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we are glad you are with us. One division per week leading up to the start of Jaguar training camp at the end of the month. This week, it's all about the NFC South. We will make stops in Atlanta, in New Orleans, and in Carolina, but right now, let's go to our neighbors to the south, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Talk about a changing of the guard. No more Levante David, no more Mike Evans. What is the coaching situation? Is there a hot seat on head coach Todd Bowles? And what about Baker Mayfield and his contract situation? Let's talk about all of it with Logan Robinson. He is the owner and the founder of Bucks Game Day, and Logan's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Logan, how we doing?
Doing good, Ryan. It's hot as heck, as you know how it is up there in Jacksonville. But that only means one thing. We got training camp in a few weeks. Just got the schedule sent out to us. And no matter what, how hot it's going to be, I'm just excited to be out there and actually watch some real football coming up here soon.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think Tampa Bay actually starts the same day Jacksonville does, I believe, on July the 29th. So it is right around the corner. Logan, it's going to look really weird for you guys with no Levante David and no Mike Evans down there anymore. Levante David retiring, Mike Evans leaving in free agency to San Francisco. What is the vibe around the organization with two Bucks legends no longer in the building?
That certainly was the biggest topic once we jumped into mandatory mini camp and some of those selective OTAs was the question, hey, how's it felt, Baker, not having Mike Evans out there? Hey, Chris Godwin, now that you're the biggest leader in the room, how are you taking on this role now? And, they're just going with what the flow, it feels like. Of course, Levante David not being there, probably your biggest leadership veteran guy and there. Of course, Mike Evans did his thing. More of it was on the field than more vocally. If he needed to speak up, he would in the locker room. But no matter what, I heard it last year whenever we were down in Miami where the Bucks lost that game. It was a horrible game from the Bucks, and we heard Levante David, since the press room was right next to it, him yelling at the team, making sure his voice was heard. We also heard from Mike Evans, too. So those two big parts of the team leaving is going to be probably one of the biggest storylines going into the season. And for me, going into training camp is finding who is going to step up as a leader. We are some younger guys. We've asked Jason Light. We've asked Todd Bowles who those names might be, like a Tyke Smith. Elijah Cansey has been brought up a few times as well. But offensively, who is also going to take part in that, I'd look at a guy like Chris Godwin, or maybe it's time now for Baker Mayfield to take this team on and say that it's his.
Certainly want to ask you about the player personnel, but let's talk about the head coach and Todd Bowles. How hot is that seat heading into the year?
Well, it's not pretty. If you look at all the national sites, they're putting him in the top 3. I think most recently I saw him in the top 2. It's just not a good sight for him at the moment, just because of what you saw last year. It felt like some of the team wasn't wanting to be out there on Sundays, which when you see things like that, you raise concerns immensely. And you heard some things too from Jamel Dean, who's now with the Steelers, but had been around with the Bucks, won a Super Bowl with Todd Bowles, and was kind of complaining about how they ran practices last year. You even heard about a current player, Yaya Diaby, who's your starting edge rusher. And now I'm not going to say complain, but kind of irritated at how practices ran last year. They want to see things ramped up. They also, too, did a lot of work this offseason to bring in some more size and revamp that defensive line, because without a high pressure rate from a defensive line with Todd Bowles' system, it just does not look pretty, Ryan. It's not a good defensive scheme for him. And so they revamped that defensive line, and I think this is going to be it here for Todd. Of course, if they can't get back into the playoffs, but if you see this team, because we've heard some things, including from not even defensive players, but like a Tristan Wirfs or a Baker Mayfield, they really do like playing for Todd Bowles. It just comes down to, hey, we can't get into those 2-3 game skid where it's just a streak of losing, and then maybe you got to look to leaders to try to step up and get some energy going. It's just Todd can't go through another one of those, or it's time for Bowles to be done in Tampa.
Logan Robinson, the owner and the founder of Bucks Game Day, with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Logan, Dave Canales did a great job with Baker Mayfield. He moved on to Carolina. We know about Liam Cohen, certainly, and the job he did with Baker. He came up here and worked wonders with Trevor Lawrence last year. And you see Baker in 2025. Again, you're much closer to it than I am. Was there regression in his game, and do you think that had anything to do with the revolving door at offensive coordinator?
It hasn't been easy, Ryan. I mean, I couldn't imagine. I really couldn't, as a quarterback, to go through that. And this man has not had a steady stay at an offensive coordinator. And trying to go back, what is it, college days? It's hard to fathom what he's had to go through. Now, I think there was two things, and I feel very confident in these two things, Ryan. I think for Baker Mayfield, obviously not a pretty year from him. I think number one, a lot of people point to the injuries, which is certainly understandable. We saw on the injury sheet every week that he was dealing with stuff from top to bottom by the end of the year. That certainly doesn't help your quarterback. Number two, I think the offensive coordinator situation. I think for the biggest thing for me is the offensive coordinator situation, like we were just talking about there. Going to Josh Grizzard, who had no offensive coordinator experience before. He was Liam Cohen's handyman and third down play calling duties whenever Liam Cohen had that year with the Bucs and Baker Mayfield had his best year. So they wanted to keep in-house and bring a guy up to hopefully be able to, not have to change up much of anything for Baker, to at least have one of those years where you don't have to bring in a whole new OC and everything. But with Grizzard, not a whole ton of experience. And you did see some strides from some of his wide receivers and such, be able to go through a few weeks and go and win that game against Seattle, and Baker Mayfield have a good game there. But I think defensive coordinators were able to start finding some things out about Grizzard and some certain things too that were limiting Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield needs an experienced offensive coordinator. There's a reason why they brought in Zach Robinson. They also brought in Chandler Whitmer, who I think was one of the best hires the Bucs made this entire offseason, who, as we know, coached at Indiana, coach Fernando Mendoza, and he comes down to Tampa to be very hands-on with Baker Mayfield to work on those things with Baker. I think that, and also to a really beat-up offensive line, didn't help Baker. So I think you're going to see a big jump from Baker. I'm very confident on that you are going to see a revamped Baker Mayfield in 2026.
Baker's not 25 anymore. Now, he's not exactly pushing 40 either, but is he going to be the quarterback in Tampa for the foreseeable future?
I think so, and we were just talking about that today on our show. I think that the Mike Florios of the world, as we all know, it's a very quiet part of the season, and whenever you're talking about quarterback extensions, and you got a name like Baker Mayfield that everybody kind of likes to talk about a little bit, it's going to be brought up a lot more throughout the national outlets. But from things here in Tampa, what I don't know is if they're going to get a deal done before the season begins, or even, in the training camp period of time. There could be a chance where they want to see him go throughout the season and see what they get from, like I just said, there was Zach Robinson and Chandler Whitmer being a hands-on coach with Baker Mayfield. Like, that might be what they wait for, but I just don't see where the Bucs have set them up yet for the future. I think they really love what they have with Baker, not just what on the field, but also too in the locker room, and his teammates love playing for him. They respect him, but I do think Baker Mayfield is the future there at quarterback in Tampa, and here's a chance that he could end his career in Tampa as well.
Couple of more for Logan Robinson, is the owner and the founder of Bucks Game Day. He's with us here on 1010XL as our NFC South preview continues. The skill position around Baker, we talked about the departure of Mike Evans. You brought up Chris Godwin. Certainly, Emeka Ibuka came out and did a really good job early on in his career. Gotta love Bucky Irving and what he brings. No Rachaad White now. They got Kenny Gainwell as the backup to Irving. But how would you assess the skill position around Baker Mayfield heading into the year?
I think this is one of the most exciting things, and it's crazy to say that, but with losing Mike Evans, it's just wild to say that this could be, one of the best groups that, Baker Mayfield has had since arriving in Tampa. I mean, if you think about it, going back to you mentioning Kenny Gainwell. So I'm personally grew up a Steelers fan, Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So I watch a lot of Steelers games. Kenny Gainwell, at the end of the year, was the Steelers' best player. He won the team's MVP, all this kind of junk. But man, he was such a great red zone threat. We know what he can do with his hands, but also you pair that with Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving, I think that's probably your biggest question mark. Is can Bucky Irving get back to his rookie season? He got banged up last year, did not help a whole ton. Also, too, with the offensive line getting hurt, like I said, like I mentioned earlier. That's the biggest question mark there, I think, going into, if you're talking about skilled players with this offense under Zach Robinson. But Emeka Egbuka, like you mentioned, shining star. Chris Godwin comes in, who I thought whenever we were out there at practices looked really nice and was probably your most consistent wide receiver with Baker Mayfield working with him. And then you brought in a rookie like Ted Hurst as well that you were hoping eventually, it's not going to be a rush from what I've been told, but eventually can take in some of those red zone targets or those deep balls like you would see in those fade routes with Mike Evans. You also have Jalen McMillan, who I think has a chance to be your receiving leader in 2026. There's just a lot to like for Baker Mayfield to hit a bounce back this upcoming season.
Logan, you mentioned the defense. As we begin to wrap things up, Todd Bowles' teams are certainly known for their defense, and Tampa Bay went out. I wouldn't call them splashes, but Alex Anzalone, the former Gator, that's a nice acquisition. I was a big fan of Rosenboom, the linebacker from Carolina. I remember him last year chasing down Travis Etienne like 60 yards from the line of scrimmage on opening day, and I thought, wow, that's an athletic linebacker. So both Anzalone and Rosenboom go to Tampa, along with the draft pick of Ruben Bain. You obviously got Winfield and Vita Vea. There's got to be some optimism about the defense as well.
Yes, but there has to be a leader that has to come out, and Levante David did that for you for a very long time. And that's why I look at a guy like Tyke Smith, who's one of your safeties. I think he's going to come out and be one of your verbal leaders on this team. I think Yaya Diaby, opposite side of Ruben Bain, will do so as well, which will be huge. You need that. I would love for Antoine Winfield. He's not this type of guy, but I'd love for him to be a little bit more vocal as well. He's the highest paid defensive back in football. Like the guy can play. He's a Super Bowl champion safety, but I would like to see him be a little bit more verbal with this team. I think he has to step up and be that type of caliber player for the Bucs. But also too, you were mentioning Ruben Bain. Talk about training camp. I just can't wait to see the pads come on and see him, iron sharpen iron against a guy like Tristan Wirfs or a Luke Gedeke. Like that guy has just came with full-on business, and he's came on with like a chip on his shoulder. And he has that type of mentality that you just love to see. I mean, we covered Florida State at Noel Game Day. We covered Ruben Bain's recruitment heavily. Florida State was trying their best to try to grab him. He goes down to Miami. This guy is a baller. He's a baller. We saw what he did in the college football playoffs, Ryan. I mean, he's nasty. And when you have to show up to play in the biggest games, that's a guy that comes and plays. And so that's what the Bucs were looking for. They're looking for some nastiness. They added some veteran presence there with Ashawn Robinson on the interior defensive line. It's a revamped pass rush. They also brought in Al-Qaeda Muhammad from the Detroit Lions, who's going to be helpful in the pass rush too to the quarterback. So there's a whole revamped talent pool on this defensive side. It's just all going to be predicated if someone is going to step up as a leader, but they need one or two or three of those guys to do so.
Logan, as we wrap up, we got about 90 seconds. When you look at the NFC South, obviously Tampa had their crown taken away by Carolina last year. Talking to people around the division, I sense optimism in Carolina. I sense optimism in Atlanta. New Orleans thinks they're getting better, but maybe a year or two away. There's a thought that Tampa is maybe the arrow pointing down a little bit after last year and with some of the things that happened this offseason. Do you see it that way, or can Tampa regain control of this division in 2026?
I think they're in a spot, depending on how well Baker Mayfield can stay healthy and if that offensive line can stay healthy. And then number two is, of course, the Bucks and that defense. The defense, this is where it's going to all predicate really how Todd Bowles is able to maneuver some things. Certainly, too, there's some question marks at his cornerback position, but I don't feel like the Bucks are certainly out of the conversation to go and win the NFC South. Now, did I feel that way before the NFL draft? They grabbed Ruben Bain? Absolutely not. It was like, oh, well, this might be an interesting season ahead for the Bucks. But the additions of what they added there, the defensive line that were, it amazed me that they had not added more personnel there and better talent with pass rush. They were not able to do that last couple of years to help Yaya Diaby. But now you're able to do that with Ruben Bain. Like I had mentioned, they added some interior defensive linemen as well. Those give you better chances right now, to me, to even push them to be able to win the NFC South. And I know that there are some big additions there from what you saw from the Panthers, and they need to fix their defensive side with their personnel, and also, too, the Saints adding some pieces. And, of course, it seems like they've got their future franchise quarterback, but he's going into a year or two. We'll see how defensive coordinators line some things up with him. And then also, to a new coach over there with Stefanski up in Atlanta. Like, there's still some big question marks from those other teams as well. Whereas the Bucks, it just feels like they were able to finally add a lot more resources, and it took a while, but they finally did this. And I thought Jason Light did a really good job this offseason of doing so. So I personally think the arrow is pointing up. I think they are the team to beat going into the season for the NFC South title.
Logan Robinson, the owner and the founder of Bucks Game Day. As he said, he's also the owner and the founder of Knoll Game Day. Logan, we're out of time right now, but we'll be dialing your phone in a couple of weeks because Florida State actually plays a football game next month as we are on the doorstep of the college football season. Quickly, for Florida State and Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans here in town, tell them about Knoll Game Day, Bucks Game Day, and where they can find your work.
Thank you, Ryan. Like I said, we got training camp coming up in a few weeks on July 29th. So we'll have instant reactions from every single practice on site at One Buck. And then, of course, we're going to be previewing a lot of stuff here for Florida State at KnollGameDay.com and Knoll Game Day on YouTube. But Ryan, as always, appreciate you having me.
He's one of our favorites, Logan Robinson. Logan, thank you again. We'll talk soon, pal.
Thank you, Ryan. Have a good weekend.
Rick Ballou for Coy Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coy Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coy Dental team still has the same great dentist and staff, and remember,